okay? So that seems odd, but it's not odd because what Carson Power does is they buy power on the cheap, okay? And they sell it when it's the most expensive. And that's just to take advantage of our failed grid system and our convoluted grid system as a commodity of electric and whatnot, okay? It's not just the age, it's that it's been deregulated over the years and it's gone to private companies, okay? And what this does is, this makes where anybody can buy and sell power almost, as long as they're a legitimate supposed utility, which by the way, Carson Power says they're a utility. When you charge and discharge batteries, there's a 7 to 12% loss due to temperatures or battery life or whatnot, okay? So that means they're not a utility. They never produce so much as 1 watt of power more than they take. In fact, there's a net loss, okay? So, to get back to the statement, they say there's a need for this. The only need is that they can legitimately, and it's just the way the system is, they can buy when there's a bunch of excess power. There is a, look around, everybody drive around, there's solar all over the place. Let me ask you a question. We live in the Adirondacks Park, do we not? Is there going to be 1,000 house development on Route 30? I don't think so. Is there going to be 5 huge factories opening here, ladies and gentlemen? I don't think so. Is there going to be a data center here? Is Google putting a data center in Northampton? I don't think so. Okay? First of all, because you know why? Guess what? A 69 kW feeder line isn't feeding a data center anyway. Try 4 times the amount of that, okay? So that's not happening. So, but it's funny, and I don't know how to talk, other than cost of power, you can't even build a 2-family house here. Really? Right? Isn't that weird? But, so let's say they keep still saying, we need this. For what? Who's we? For where? For what power? It's simply they see spots all over the Adirondacks because of the amount of farmland and open fields that have been changed to solar panels. Okay, that there is an excess of a commodity that they can buy cheap and legally, when the way the grid works, the electricity just goes out in the grid and disappears, believe it or not. If it's not used, it actually dissipates. So they find areas to where there is always going to be excess. I looked at the projections on all the internet with all the U.S. Power Grid Association, the New York State Power Authority, and this and that. The projections on this grid for the next 20 years is moderate to low increase. In 20 years, moderate to low increase. But yet, Carson Power is going to invest $10 million for our favor, when in their own industry standards, in buying and selling at the current electric rate with the established amount of a 10 megawatt. Okay, the calculations that I came up with, I'm not an expert on this, was $21 million in profit in 20 years. $21 million profit. Okay, that's because of demand? No, it's because there is a loophole to where if you are a utility and a large enough utility, there are rates that you can take advantage to make money. That is all this is. Okay? Then they say, oh, we'll have 4 hours of power if the grid goes down. Wait a minute, Carson Power. So if you charged your batteries and the power went down, but it's in a low demand thing, you're actually gonna just discharge it. You're gonna lose money on your electric? No. These systems are computer operated. And you wanna know what those computers run on? Algorithms of profit. That is what they run on. That's it. That's all they do. So that's why if you're gonna have an open discussion with a company and a pack of basically publicity salesmen, you need to at least have somebody counter their points, please. That is discouraging. Thank you. Thanks for listening, guys.
Anyone else?
Go ahead.
Oh, okay, go ahead. I'll go next.
All right.
I'll go next. Okay, that's fine.
Wetlands, I hope.
Yeah. He gave you
Hello,
pretty maps.
everybody. I'm not a very good public speaker, like some of the people before me. But I'm here to answer a couple of questions that were brought up in the last public hearing by a couple of residents. One was, how did this get this far? Okay. The other question I heard is, how did they get approval? Okay, and where's the environmental impact statement? So I did a little research, not as inventive as some other individuals.
Can you speak up?
I did some research about the process of requiring an environmental impact statement. Okay, so what it is, it has to go through a process called seeker. And I got this right off a state website, so I'm not making it up. You guys can find it too. I made the highlights and I'll read it for you. Step towards satisfying seeker. The first step in classifying the action is to decide whether it's subject to seeker. An action is subject to review under seeker if any state or local agency has authority to issue a discretionary permit, license, or other type of approval for that action. The second step in classifying an action under seeker is to determine whether it is a type 2 action or a type 1 action or unlisted. If the proposed action requires a discretionary approval, it may already have been determined not to significantly affect the environment. Here we go. The environment. Check to see if it's listed as a type 2 action. If the action is not on the type 2 list, it is either a type 1 action or an unlisted action. Here's the definition of the type 2 action. A type 2 action are a group of actions which either, 1, do not significantly impact the environment, do not impact.
You can call, I'll give you the cell phone number.
That's type 2. Number 2, otherwise precluded from environmental review under seeker. Okay. So here's our definition. Type 2 actions, here's the answer to one of those ladies' questions. Type 2 actions never require preparation of a determination of significance or a draft environmental impact statement. There's your answer. Type 2 does not require environmental impact statement. Here's the definition of a type 1. Type 1 actions. Type 1 actions are more likely to have significant adverse impact on the environment. 2 may require a draft environmental impact statement. So that answers those questions there. So I went onto the same website. I got this pretty cool thing that makes these maps. And I print them out. They're not big, but as you can see, last meeting I talked to other people, a place called the Tamarack Swamp. It's right over there. Okay. So on this picture I have here, and anybody can look at it. I got this. This is a National Wetlands Inventory in dark green. The Carson site is gonna go there. About, I don't know exactly where. There's a lot of green around there. So I think that would, let's see, significantly impact the environment. Okay. Same search or same application, different search engine. These are the ones for informational freshwater wetland mapping. Freshwater wetland. Common denominator in those definitions, wetland. So, through public information that's available, I found out on the application that the best project was classified as a type 2 action. While it's surrounded by 3/4 of wetlands. Like Mr. Green said, you can't even build a 2-family house there. Okay, so that's all I gotta say. I think the project was misclassified. Should be a type 1. Unless they didn't want an environmental impact statement. Then it goes to classified as a type 2. See? Damn, wish I had those
Well shot.
Sorry. See, now they're really mad at me.
You need to sit.
So, 8.2 million. So here we are with my request. Thank you for consideration and opportunity for a moratorium regarding the proposed Carson Power Fast project, which is to be located in the town of Northampton. I respectfully urge you to stand with your community, take decisive action to stop the Carson Power project, protecting the environmental integrity, public safety, and character of Northampton, Great Saginaw Lake, and the Adirondack Park must remain our top priority. You have the power to make history by taking a firm stand and clearly stating that these types of facilities are not appropriate inside the park. Such leadership would send a clear, powerful message that the Adirondacks are not an acceptable location for an industrial energy infrastructure, and that local voices matter. That's us, guys. Thank you for your time and consideration and for the concerns of the residents who deeply care about our community.
Hi, my name is Cynthia Troya, and I want to thank the board for having this tonight. My husband and I are new faces in town. We've been coming here for a number of years. And like some people who have stayed here for generations, we came here seeking that. And we finally, after many years, got our wish, only the week that we moved in to find out about this. I know, and I hope that we're going to be moving forward here with this moratorium, but I still have a few concerns. Number one, the planning board mentioned last week that they were starting to do the surveying at the property, and my concern is who is doing it? Is this a Carson Power entity paid by Carson Power, and are they going to find whatever Carson Power wants them to find? My other concern is that Carson Power's supposedly owner, but now she's the CEO and not listed as the owner anymore, that she wrote a letter to our legislators sort of whining about how they can't do what they need to do because all these towns are doing moratoriums and zoning laws and stuff. And how there is a bill in the works that they want a law to pass that will override any of that. We don't care what you pass, what zoning law you have. So everybody here, you need to pay attention to that. You need to let everybody in New York State know, because this is a New York State thing. And I haven't really looked into yet what's still happening with Warwick after the land has been condemned and the owner of the property cannot get into their lease, out of their lease. And I kind of wonder, does the family who is doing this here, are they aware of the problems that Warwick, the landowner, is having there? How his property is now condemned, the battery storage manufacturer has claimed bankruptcy, and he is fighting legal battles. Just one last note, I don't know if anybody's been following what's been happening around the town, around the country, but the last fire in California lasted 14 days. So I pray and I hope that we didn't move here for nothing, that, we're gonna be able to, and all these families and all the children will be able to enjoy this beautiful part of the world that God has made.
Just so you know, Warwick is already $1+ million of cleanup. And they propose a bond of $300,000 or something.
Is it okay if I stay here? Thank you. Okay, I want to thank you for having this meeting tonight. I know some of you on the board are pro this best facility, and I know some of you are not. I know that you're planning this moratorium, but this moratorium needs to stop the best project that's coming now. Not just a moratorium on any new best facilities. It needs to stop this one. And I reached out to the APA, and I filed a Freedom of Information. And the conclusions of the APA, and this is very important, the agency finds that the project authorized as conditioned herein, and the final condition is, will not have an undue adverse impact upon the natural, scenic, aesthetic, ecological, wildlife, historic, recreational, or open space resources of the park, or upon the ability of the public to provide supporting facilities and services made necessary by the project. And I think that this Carson Power Best Project does not meet that criteria. So I urge all of you to look at that